All right, welcome back, everybody, for another deep dive. And today we are talking about something that's probably in your pocket right now, a penny.
Okay.
But not just any penny. We're diving into the mystery of the 1944 steel penny.
Okay.
Our listener today wants to understand what makes these pennies so valuable.
Right.
And you're here to help us all kind of unpack that a little bit.
Sure.
So one thing that's interesting is that most 1944 pennies are bronze.
Right.
Which makes finding a steel one very unusual.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, imagine just going through your pocket change and
finding one, yeah.
Yeah.
That would be a good day.
Exactly.
So what makes these 1944 steel pennies so fascinating
Yeah.
is they really shouldn't exist.
Okay.
You know, in 1943, the U.S. was in the middle of World War II.
Right.
And they needed copper for the war effort. So the mint made pennies out of steel.
Yeah.
But by 1944, copper was back, and they were supposed to switch back to the bronze.
Okay.
But for whatever reason, some steel pennies still slipped through.
So it was like a little bit of a production hiccup.
Yeah, it was a mistake.
Yeah.
Definitely.
But our source mentions a few theories about how this happened. Some think that leftover steel planchettes
Oh, yeah.
got mixed in with the bronze ones in 1944.
Yeah, that's possible, especially...
Like the blank
Okay.
cookie dough before it's shaped, right?
Yeah. Yeah, the Philadelphia Mint, where most of the pennies were made.
Yeah.
It's plausible that there were leftover planchettes.
Right. But
It gets even more interesting because they also found steel pennies with Denver and San Francisco mint marks.
oh, wow.
So another theory is that it might be related to the Philadelphia Mint.
Okay.
They were also making Belgian 2-franc coins in the same year.
Really?
Yeah, also made of steel.
Interesting.
So maybe there was a swap somewhere along the way.
So a Belgian connection? Now that's really interesting.
Yeah.
But for our listener, let's be clear. These are just theories. The real reason is still a mystery.
A total mystery.
Which I think adds to the allure, right?
Oh, absolutely.
It's like holding a piece of history with an unsolved puzzle attached to it.
And you know, unlike most coins where condition is everything,
Yeah?
with these, even a beat-up steel 44 is worth something.
Really?
Because they're so rare.
Wow, that's what makes this so interesting.
Yeah.
I was reading that a 1944 steel penny, even in less than perfect condition, can still fetch nearly $30,000.
That's right.
Wow.
And the value just increases exponentially,
Yeah.
depending on the mint mark.
Right.
And how well preserved it is.
And speaking of mint marks,
Yeah.
our source breaks down the estimated number of 1944 steel pennies
Okay.
from each mint.
Huh.
And the numbers are unbelievably small.
Yeah, it's crazy how few there are.
So Philadelphia, only about 30 known.
30.
Denver has a mere 7.
Wow.
And get this, San Francisco has only 2.
2. Can you imagine?
That's it.
Yeah.
2 known examples.
So that's why that S mint mark?
On a 1944 steel penny can potentially make it worth over $786,000.
It's mind-boggling, isn't it?
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
$786,000
For a penny.
for a penny.
It just shows you the power of
Right.
rarity and
Yeah.
historical significance.
Okay, so now let's say our listener's inspired.
Okay.
They want to go check their change.
Yeah.
How can they tell if they found one?
Well, good question.
It's not like you can just glance at it. No, right.
Right.
Is there something specific they should look for?
Well, there are a few key things.
Okay.
First, the color.
Okay.
Steel pennies have a very distinct silvery hue, often with some rust.
Rust.
Yeah, because of the steel.
Oh.
Second is the weight.
30.
Steel is lighter than bronze,
So it'll feel different.
so it'll feel different in your hand.
Interesting.
And finally, the magnet test.
Okay.
It sounds simple,
Yeah.
but if a magnet sticks to it, you might just have something special.
So color, weight, magnet test.
Those are your 3 things to look for.
But our source also mentions something called error coins,
Oh, yeah.
which sounds like a whole other level of rare.
Yes, error coins are
I
fascinating.
mean, what kind of errors are we talking about?
Well, imagine even within the already rare category of 1944 steel pennies, some have additional quirks
Okay.
that make them even more valuable.
So like even rarer than rare?
Exactly.
Okay, so give us a detail that'll make our listeners' jaw drop.
Okay, so one of the most striking examples
Okay.
is a 1944 steel penny
Yeah.
struck on a dime planchette.
What?
Imagine a penny the size of a dime.
Wow. So they used the wrong...
The wrong planchette got fed into the coin press somehow.
Oh, so it was a minting mishap.
Yeah, happy little accident.
But that created something that's...
extremely rare.
Super rare and super valuable.
Yeah.
So how do we know what any of these are really worth?
Good question.
It's not like you can just Google the price, right?
Right. Price guides exist. But the most accurate measure of a coin's worth is what someone is willing to pay for it.
So that's where auctions come in.
Auctions are the ultimate test.
Right, the ultimate showdown for collectors.
Yeah.
Our source mentioned some pretty amazing auction prices for these steel pennies.
Oh, yeah, some eye-popping numbers.
Yeah, and we already talked about the 1944 adjust that fetched $408,000.
Right, an incredible result.
But there's more where that came from.
Oh, absolutely.
So we've gone from all pennies are basically the same
Right.
to this whole world of rare coins.
It's amazing what's out there.
With incredible stories and potentially life-changing value.
You never know what you might find.
Yeah, so we'll be back to delve deeper into those error coins.
Sounds good.
And what you should do if you think you found one.
Looking forward to it.
All right, we'll be right back.
Okay.
So before the break, we were just starting to get into this world of error coins.
Right, these 1944 steel pennies.
With those extra quirks.
Yeah, the little imperfections
that make them even more valuable.
That make them super rare.
Yeah.
And potentially super valuable.
And one error that really caught my eye in the source material was the double die obverse.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
Okay, so for our listener who might not be familiar with all this coin lingo.
Right, it can get a little technical.
Yeah, what does that even mean?
Well, so the obverse...
Double die sounds kind of cool, but I'm not picturing it.
It is cool.
Okay.
The obverse is just the front side of the coin.
Okay.
Where you usually see the main image.
Okay.
Or a portrait.
Right.
And a double die happens when the die that stamps that image onto the metal is made incorrectly.
Got it.
So instead of one crisp image, you get a slightly doubled or blurry effect
I see.
on certain parts of the design.
So it's a mistake
Yeah.
in the die itself.
It's in the die itself.
Not just a
wonky strike.
A wonky strike when they made the penny.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay, so because it's baked into the die,
Yeah.
you're going to have a lot of coins with that same error.
Right.
Right.
So it makes it a little more common than, say, a one-off misaligned strike.
All right.
But on a 1944 steel penny, even a somewhat common error becomes rare.
Because the underlying coin is already so scarce.
Exactly.
Right. So it's like that steel composition is like the baseline of rarity.
And it's like level 1 of rarity.
And then you add the errors.
And then the errors add another layer.
On top of it.
Yeah.
That's fascinating.
Yeah, it gets complicated quickly.
Yeah.
Our source actually mentions that there is only one known 1944 steel penny.
Wow.
With a double die obverse.
So there could only be one.
Potentially unique.
Wow.
Which makes it extremely valuable.
I bet.
Some estimations place its value in the millions.
Wow. For 1 penny.
Yeah, it's like the holy grail for collectors.
Okay, so double dies. What other errors should our listeners be on the lookout for?
Well, another one to watch for is the off-center strike.
Off-center strike. Okay.
And this happens when the planche, that blank piece of metal, isn't perfectly centered.
In the coin press?
In the coin press when it's struck.
So the design's like...
The design is stamped partially off the edge.
Yeah. Okay, so it's like the machine punches the design.
Yeah, punches it in the wrong spot.
In the wrong spot.
Yeah.
I bet that makes some pretty strange-looking pennies.
It does. Some of them are really interesting to look at.
Yeah.
And, you know, while off-center strikes on regular pennies aren't always worth a lot.
Right.
Anything that happens to a 1944 steel penny.
Right. Because of that steel composition.
Is magnified in value because it's a steel penny.
Yeah. So that steel is like the secret ingredient.
Exactly.
It elevates everything.
Yeah. It makes things interesting. That would normally be kind of mundane.
Makes even a minor error really exciting.
Yeah, for sure.
What else? What else?
Well, then you have errors like strike-throughs.
Strike-throughs, okay.
Where something gets between the die and the planchette.
During the striking process.
During striking.
Wow.
It could be debris.
Okay.
Grease. Even another coin sometimes.
Wow.
Our source mentions a 1944 steel penny with a grease strike-through.
Interesting.
There makes the backside look really unusual.
Oh, wow.
Almost like an abstract art piece.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
So picture this. Our listener is now like rummaging through their change jar.
Yeah.
Heart pounding.
Fingers crossed.
And they think they found a 1944 steel penny. Maybe even with an error.
Okay, what do they do?
What should they do next?
Well, first and foremost, don't clean it.
Really?
You know, it's tempting.
You would think you'd want to polish it up.
I know, you want to make it look all shiny.
Yeah.
But any cleaning can actually decrease the value.
Oh, wow. Good to know.
Yeah.
So what should they do?
The next step is to get it authenticated.
Okay.
There are professional grading services like PCGS and NGC.
Okay.
They specialize in verifying the authenticity of coins and then assigning a grade based on their condition.
So don't just like rush off and try to sell it on your own.
I would not recommend that, no.
Especially with something this potentially valuable.
Yeah, you want to make sure you're dealing with experts.
Right, so get it professionally graded.
Yeah, it proves it's the real deal.
Yeah.
And then the grade also hugely impacts the price.
Makes sense. You want that validation.
Right, you want that expert opinion.
Especially when there's potentially a lot of money at stake.
Exactly.
So once you've had the coin authenticated and graded.
Right, then you have options.
What kind of options?
Well, you could hold on to it.
As an investment?
As an investment, knowing its value is likely to go up.
Right.
You could sell it to a collector.
Okay.
Or a dealer. Or you could go for the excitement of an auction.
And see what kind of bidding war you can spark.
Yeah, exactly.
This is all such good info.
I hope so.
For anyone who's ever fantasized about, like, finding treasure in their pocket change.
Who hasn't?
I know. But even if our listener doesn't strike it rich with a steel penny,
right,
this whole discussion has been so eye-opening.
It's been fun.
Yeah.
I've enjoyed it.
It's amazing how these seemingly ordinary objects can have such a rich history and this hidden value.
You know, it's fascinating to me how these 1944 steel pennies really embody the intersection of history, chance, and human perception.
You're so right.
A simple production quirk turns into something highly sought after.
Right.
A mistake becomes a treasure.
It really makes you think.
It does.
And on that note, we'll be back with part 3.
Looking forward to.
Of this deep dive.
Okay.
Where we'll look at some of the most valuable and intriguing 1944 steel pennies ever sold.
Sounds good.
And we'll explore what this all means for how we view value and perfection in our own lives.
Ooh, that's a good one.
So stay tuned. All right, welcome back to the final part of our deep dive into the world of 1944 steel pennies.
It's been a journey.
I know, we've covered a lot of ground.
Yeah, we have.
From why they're so rare.
Right.
To how to spot them. Even the mind-blowing world of error coins.
Yeah, the error coins are really something else.
They really are.
You know what I find captivating about all of this?
What's that?
Is how these coins challenge our traditional notions of value.
In what way?
Well, you know, a simple miscalculation, a misplaced planchette,
Yeah.
it can transform a really mundane object
Right.
into something worth a fortune.
Yeah.
It's a powerful illustration of how context can really reshape our perception of worth.
You really hit the nail on the head.
Thanks.
Our listeners send over some auction results from the source material.
Oh, yeah.
And honestly, the figures are astonishing.
Let's hear them.
So we already talked about the 1944 penny that fetched $408,000.
Right, that was a big one.
But there's more where that came from.
Oh, I bet.
For instance, a 1944 steel penny with no mint mark, graded MS64, meaning it's in exceptionally fine condition.
Very nice.
Sold for $180,000 in 2021.
Wow.
And back in 2007, a 1944D, also in excellent condition, with an MS63 grade, went for a remarkable $115,000.
Still a lot of money.
It's incredible. We're talking about pennies here.
Right.
Objects we usually like toss in a jar.
Spare change.
Yeah, leave on the counter.
Exactly.
To think that some of these are worth more than a lot of people's homes.
It's crazy.
It's just unbelievable.
I think it really speaks volumes about the passion and dedication of collectors.
Right.
These individuals are really driven by, you know, the thrill of the hunt, the historical significance these coins represent, and the potential investment value.
I'm also struck by how this highlights, like, the subjective nature of value.
Definitely.
What seems so ordinary to one person can be a priceless treasure to another.
A matter of perspective.
It all depends on your perspective. It makes me wonder, if these mistakes are so highly prized, does that suggest that perfection is always the ultimate goal?
Good question.
Or is there something to be said for embracing the unexpected and finding beauty in imperfection?
I love that.
That's a good question.
Yeah, it makes you think.
It does. It encourages us to, like, reconsider our own perceptions of worth, both in the tangible world of objects and in the broader context of our lives.
Exactly. Maybe those quirks and imperfections are what make us unique and interesting.
Just like those 1944 steel pennies.
Exactly. Their flaws are ultimately what makes them valuable.
I love that takeaway.
Yeah.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the world of 1944 steel pennies, I want to leave our listener with a few final thoughts.
Okay, I'm listening.
Firstly, never underestimate the power of curiosity.
Right.
You never know where it might lead you, what hidden worlds you might uncover.
Yeah.
Secondly, always be on the lookout for hidden treasures.
Yeah.
Whether it's in your pocket change, your attic, or even just like the everyday moments of your life.
Yeah, keep your eyes open.
And lastly, embrace those imperfections.
I love it.
They might just be your most valuable assets.
Yeah.
The things that make you...
Yeah, perfectly said. So that's it for today.
Well, I've had fun.
Me too.
It's been great talking to you.
Thanks for joining us.
Of course.
On this fascinating exploration of 1944 steel pennies.
Until next time.
Until next time, keep those eyes peeled and those minds open.
Yeah.
You never know what wonders await.